Hi, it's Biddy Penny. I'm here today sharing a couple of cards where I'm taking a vintage style stamp set and making modern cards out of it. And the way I'm doing that is really simple. I am changing the color palette from what a typical vintage card might have. And I'm also adding in modern patterns from graphic paper. So here I am emulating the front design. I'm using fossilized amber and I'm just blending it onto my corners because I want to have a similar look on the inside as I do the outside, but I don't want it to be completely matchy-matchy. So next I'm going to splatter on some perfect pearls, which I enjoy because they dry quickly. And once you add water and activate them, I don't ever find that they smear or fade or anything. So I just add a little bit of water to a little bit of perfect pearls, and I will just splatter that right on. I'm showing you here where the inspiration is coming from. So this card is, I didn't record the first of it because I was just making it for my husband, and I didn't, then I decided, oh yeah, I better turn the camera on. So now I'm bringing in some of the other patterns from the stamp set. These are all stamps from that one set from Fun Stamper's Journey. And it's just like a real scripty. It doesn't really say anything, you know, it's one of those kind of script stamps. But, and then these two little lovebirds. So they're lovebirds in my book. So those are going there. And then I'm gonna glue all this down to my card base. For the front of that card, it was just a piece of pattern paper. I used some ephemera at the top and the bottom. I made that Eiffel Tower, just stamped paper and cut it out, and then I used a sentiment. So it was pretty basic, but it turned out beautiful. I love that holographic paper. That was from a Spellbinders 6x6 paper pad from one of the kids. So I'm just adhering everything down, and then I'm going to keep working on the inside of this card. And I actually filled this out on camera just so to give you a bit of an idea about, like, you might be looking at the front like once upon a time. What would I even write in a once upon a time card? But you know, you could write anything you want. This is what I chose to write. And so I'm just kind of playing around here with this wooden heart and with love. And I'm going to glue that down, and then I'll write a little message. This is just something sweet, and there's no special occasion or anything. It's just something sweet for my sweetheart. So maybe this will inspire you to surprise some of the ones you love with just a sweet message. It helps. It helps in stressful times. And I think it's safe to say that most people are experiencing stressful times one way or another right now. I don't know if card making and kindness have ever been more important than they are right now. So there's that card. It's completed. And now, you know, I have the camera on and I've got one done. So let me go through and make another for you. I always stamp the back of my cards. And we're moving on. So this stamp set, I really just loved it. And I'm not like a typical like Paris themed kind of person or Eiffel Tower, but I just really loved it. And I've already made, I think, 4 cards on this channel with it. So I hope it is something that you like too. All right, so I just pulled these right from that Spellbinders paper pad, and I just took almost everything just right off the top. They all appealed to me. And had been using that teal earlier And I decided to do some stamping, you know, in the same color family on this pattern paper and create my own pattern paper using all the various stamps in the set. So this is something fun to do. And maybe you'll try it sometime too. I don't have a plan yet for how I'll use this paper exactly, but I just wanted to make some pattern paper with the stamp set. As it turned out, it fit perfectly within my card design, I felt like. I really need to get back to working on my glass mat. I've just been working on this surface the last few days and haven't switched it back, and I need to go back to my glass mat. Then I don't have to put paper under what I'm working on. It's the lazy crafter's ideal surface. This takes a little more thought and consideration. So now I was taking that and I was like, oh wait, I don't know how I'm using that. Okay, let's start at the beginning here. So I am cutting this down to 5.5 by 5.5. And this is gonna be the base of my card. So when I make these square cards, I typically add a lot of layers. So I'm just playing around and making sure that the order of my patterns so that I can cut them down accordingly. And I want to leave enough space that you can really see each paper. I really like to let each one shine. So then I'm cutting this one down. So basically I have 3 squares here, and that's my base. And now I'm going to take this pattern paper that I made, and I'm just going to add a strip of it across everything. And I like the way that looks. So I bring in my stamp just to kind of play around to see what I might like to do, and I decide to go for it. So I'm actually going to stamp this out in black ink, just so it stands out a little against all 4 of those pattern papers. But I don't want it like a stark black. I want it to be like a soft black. So I only do 1 stamped impression versus maybe doing 2 or using a VersaFine ink. And I like the way that that turned out. It's not too stark. So I'm going to fussy cut this out. I think this is the 5th time I've cut this image out in the last 2 days. I'm happy though to get so much usage out of 1 stamp set, and I know it's something I'll come back to. The funny thing about shopping for stamps that I've discovered about myself is I'll fall in love with some sets and I'll be like, oh, I have to have that in my collection, and I'll never use it. And then other stamps will be like, you know, I really like it. Something's drawing me to it. I'm not sure. It feels like it's out of my comfort zone. And then I end up using those stamps over and over and over again. All right, so I'm bringing in this mini doily, and because I want more layers. And I'm going to cut it in half to make it go further. No use in there being a bunch of doily that you can't see hidden. So I'm just kind of playing with arrangement there. And then I want even more layers. So I grab some leftover ephemera from a Spellbinders kit, and I know my Once Upon a Time sentiment is in there. I love that they give you 2 of each piece of ephemera in the kits. It's just so handy. Like in this instance, I'm making 2 different cards, but at the same time with similar products, and I just really like that they give you 2. While I was digging through there, I noticed that there was like cute buildings and a camera, and so I decided to add those things too. And now this card to me is looking more filled out, more interesting, has more appeal. So now I'm going to tape everything down. So I'm choosing to do this because I kind of want to keep everything together and just carefully do it layer by layer until I feel confident enough to take things apart. So I'm going to glue down that little camera. It's funny how many camera stamps and pieces are in the scrapbooking and card making world. All right, so I'm just moving this to try to get this more centered here. And now I feel ready, like, okay, I can do this. I can pull these apart and get this back together. The only thing is the doilies did give me some problem. I don't feel like I got the one on the right exactly where I wanted it as to the original draft, but it all works out. Whoever gets this card is not going to have a clue about if it was an inch above or below where I wanted it. But you will see me like messing with it. And I actually edited some of it out because it was so annoying I kept moving it. So, okay, that's it. It's staying. And I put my little building down, which I just think is so precious. And everything is coming together. I really love this card. I am trying to do more 5.5 by 5.5 cards, which fit in a 6x6 envelope. And just change things up because it has me think outside the box. I like the layers. I like doing things that aren't just totally typical. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. And it helps me use up more of my supplies, which I desperately need to do. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. All right, so now I'm gonna cut down a interior piece. Oh, sorry, this is my card base. Duh. Okay, so on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, you cut vertically across the 8.5, and so you keep it at 11, and then you just cut 5.5, and there you go. You have a base. So that's what I was doing. I was making my card base. And I do have extras hanging over the edges. I'll just clip that away with my scissors. I was kind of wishing I had, after I started cutting, I was wishing I had left some of the camera pieces hanging off, but oh well. They are gone now. All right, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm going to bring in some scraps that I had left over. And I'm going to do the inside of the card. So I'm just taking my whitest pieces that I can bring together to cover the back. So in the comments below, let me know what cards you like to make besides a typical A2 size card. Are you having fun joining the slimline fad right now? Do you like to make 6x6 cards? I'd love to know. The mini cards, if you want to go back, I have a video where I show you a bunch of mini cards that I've made, and I'll have to make some of those with y'all as well. but those are really fun. It's just nice to shift your perspective and use your supplies in a new scale and in a new way. I think it's refreshing. I love card making, and there's nothing for me that's really boring about it, but I do feel like it's easy to get in a rut, and I want to keep things fresh. I want to keep, surprising myself and seeing what I can do and pushing my creativity in new directions and places it hasn't gone before. That gives me a lot of joy. So I feel like changing the size of the card helps me do that. I don't have to buy a bunch of new supplies. I use the same supplies. I just use them in new ways. So I'm just going to trim off the edges again here. And then I'm going to bring that little lovebird stamp back in because I just think it's so precious. And I'm trying to decide if I want it at full strength or if I want to stamp off. And I kind of play with it here, and I definitely want it full strength. Okay, I think that finishes it up. Thanks so much for sticking out, sticking with me for the last 15 minutes and checking out this card process video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this stamp set, I'm sure you can find it at spellbinders.com, and it's from Fun Stamper's Journey. And yeah, leave me some comments below. Like, subscribe, share, do all those YouTube friendly things and help my little channel grow. All right, have a blessed day.